Hello. All right. Make one little end of the day video. Try to add some more content to this account. Just a little story time here, because it's April 1st and I forgot it's April Fool's Day. This morning I knew it was April 1st and I remembered it was opening day of baseball. Didn't even think about April Fool's Day, but that's a special day for a lot of people, I guess, right? And including definitely, I've got a connection to it because I'm a fool, absolutely, and it's all right. I wear that with pride, Little history lesson, and I'm sure this is probably common knowledge, right? Some of this is, but jesters and clowns, sacred clowns, are very important, essential parts of communities. And if you think about like a king's court, you got the king and the queen and princes, and but there's always the jester, right? And the jester is almost as valuable as the king. It's like if the jester dies, or if the king, there's a reason why the jester can basically joke around and mess with everybody, including the king. And the king, no matter what that jester does, the king doesn't, the king can't kill the jester. If the king killed the jester, then that spells the end of everything for that community. The jester brings light and humor when times are horrible for the community. During times of war, it was the jester's responsibility to provide laughter and make everybody feel comfortable, hopefully, before war. Okay, so the fool, right? And there's also, I don't know a whole lot about tarot. I'm really interested in it. I would love to learn more, but the fool is one of the cards in the tarot deck, and it's a valuable card. I don't know enough to talk about it, but I do know this. I've read, as far as like books go, if you guys are into reading books, there's an amazing book called Black Elk Speaks. Black Elk was a famous, he's a Native American. He's a Lakota Indian, which is out of, they were in like the Midwest, up into Canada too, like North Dakota, South Dakota, into Canada at times, depending upon the season, and then they'd have to come back through the plains and all that. But Black Elk was a what they call a Heyoka. A Heyoka Indian is a sacred clown. Heyokas were like outcast. They didn't live, like an Indian tribe would set up their, everything's in a circle. The teepee is a circle. They'd set up their camps in circles. And like a lot of times Heyokas were like outcasts. They were living by themselves, right? They were essentially like a jester, and they were also like sacred and magical. They were gifted. They could speak to the gods. They were called, I'm going to murder this. It's been a while since I read this book, but they were like what they called thunder gods, I think. They would come from the sky, and these Heyokas would, just kind of like us TIs, or at least what happens to me sometimes, where like that feeling just all of a sudden, like the hair just stands up on your neck, basically. Like you start, you're like channeling messages almost. And whether that's this artificial intelligence that's going on, or maybe it is messages from like the divine, right? From the gods. But these Heyokas would receive messages from the thunder gods, the cloud gods. They would tell them where, like, if there was like famine, they needed food, it would direct them. They'd say, look, you need to like there's a herd of buffalo yonder that way, and they would take this information back to the tribe, and sure enough, they'd go, get fed, go find the food. Or it also, these thunder gods told Black Elk, basically predicted the whole downfall of all the Native Americans, and and would instruct Black Elk, give him instructions on what needed to be done to protect themselves, right? And so I don't want to murder the story there. You guys I highly recommend that book. A lot of scholars compare Black Elk Speaks. They put that on the same level as like the Bible and the Torah. As far as like Native American religion goes, it's right there. This guy Black Elk was amazing. So, anyways, these Heyokas, Black Elk was like one of very few. There's not many Heyokas out there, even living. There might only be a handful of Heyokas walking the planet Earth at any given time. That's how sacred they are. But what else would they do? They'd it was just their job to entertain. If you can imagine being a Native American and having all of the devastation, having your land and everything you ever had taken away from you, like us TIs have. The Heyokas would come in, they'd ride their horses like backwards, dress them so they were like circus clowns. It was their job to provide a lot of light and laughter before battles, and so that's very special. So today's April Fool's Day, and maybe we all can relate to that. I certainly can. And also, so what else? There's a reference, like my Twitter account I named it the Hoka Boys, and Hoka is what these Indian Native Americans would, that's what they would yell before battle. Hoka means it's a good day to die. Now, it doesn't mean that you're depressed, like, it's a good day to die because we don't want to live anymore, basically. It's not a sad thing, but they would yell that going into battle. Hoka was like the battle cry. And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It means we've lived life to the fullest. We could die. I could die right this second and be satisfied because we gave it 100%, 110%. We gave it our all, and because of that, you can't take anything from me, right? You can't take anything from us. And if we need to go into battle right this second, so be it, because Hoka today is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to die even. So the Hoka Boys, right? That's my Twitter account handle, and look me up if you want and add a follow. But I don't really spend a lot of time on Twitter posting. At least I do. It's kind of my news source. I go there for news, but I don't do a lot of posting on Twitter. That might change moving forward, but anyways, I'm over there, Hoka Boys. So, and the reason I chose that also, the Hoka Boys, is I've got this, like, I'll just announce it. I'll put it into put this into the universe. I'll speak it into truth. So here's kind of my dream. Ultimately, I'm like this massive sports fanatic, just massive, amongst other things. But sports have always been a part of my life, and I love my sports. And I would love someday to like own, if I was like a billionaire, I'd own a basketball team or a baseball team, or I'd try to be like a general manager or something, right? And I mean, that would just be the nuts for me. So I've got this dream of, this is it. So if you're familiar with the Harlem Globetrotters, right? The basketball team, they go around kicking ass, and they're always beating up on the Washington Generals. The Washington Generals are like that. I mean, it's a real basketball team, but they're also kind of, I don't even know if it, I mean, it's fictional. It's not fictional, but it's their job to go play the Globetrotters and just get their asses kicked. They haven't beat the Globetrotters like ever, right? They've beat them like once, I think. If you research the Washington Generals back in like the 70s or the 80s, they beat the Globetrotters because the Globetrotters they lost track of the score, and somehow the Generals came and they beat them at the end of the game. And anyways, that's the last time the Generals ever won a game. So I got this dream. I'm here flat broke, living in my car, right? Getting gang stalked and having lost everything, right? So I'm going to turn this shit around, and someday when I got the money and the means to do it, I'm gonna buy the Washington Generals. I'm gonna turn them around. I'm gonna make them world champions, and there's no doubt in my mind it's gonna happen. Okay, it's gonna go down. I don't know how it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen though, and there's going to be a name change, I think, when I get ownership of that team. We're going to be the Heyokas boys, and I hope that's not offensive to Native Americans out there. If it is, my apologies, out of the bottom of my heart, all of it. I hope that's not offensive, because I'm not Native American, but I do feel connected to that Heyoka spirit, no doubt in my mind. So I don't feel ashamed. I don't think it's bad that when I get this shit turned around and I own that team, I think we wear those jerseys with pride, and I think that people like Black Elk and Native Americans out there, I think that they would accept that and take pride in that. So I sure hope so. If not, then hey, I'm a fool, and I hope y'all can appreciate that and forgive me. Forgive me if that's offensive. But anyways, so I haven't done a ton of research. I can just imagine. Right now, I know that there's a company out of they're in like Memphis, I think it's Memphis, Tennessee, that officially owns the Harlem Globetrotters. They own like a bunch of resorts in the southern United States. They have like, like family resorts and stuff, and they own the Globetrotters. And I think that means they own the Generals too. I think it's like a package deal, because they kind of travel with each other. Now, I might be wrong about that, but I had to just ballpark it. I'm thinking like, I just don't know what the value of a franchise is. It's at least 10 million. I don't know. The worst franchise, the most losingest franchise in the history of sports, the Washington Generals. I don't know what the value of a team like that is, but I'm going to put together a few million someday. I'm going to buy the Washington Generals, rename them Heyokas boys, put together some champions, and we ain't going to take shit no more. We ain't going to be losing no more. We're going to turn it around, and we're going to be world champions. So bookmark that, and now it's out there. We spoke that. That's a little, we'll call that some, like, what is that, like white magic, I guess? And we just put that out there. We're gonna post this video on April Fool's Day here, and it's done. You just did it. Y'all have a good night. Happy April Fool's Day. Make somebody laugh if you can. Make everybody laugh and smile. Oh man, I heard a great quote of I got one of my own. It's not, I can't quote it, but like, when you cry, this came from Black Elk Speaks, but laughter is as important. It's okay to cry, and it's as important to cry as it is to laugh. Because if you look at it, if you see somebody like hysterically crying, it looks as though they're hysterically laughing. You can't differentiate unless you're kind of listening, and you can tell they got tears coming down. It's one and the same. You gotta laugh and you gotta cry. They're together. And damn, I wish I saw a quote on Twitter that was beautiful about laugh. You better. I'm not gonna ruin it. Laugh, cry, be beautiful, and just enjoy it. All right, enjoy. Y'all take care. Have a great night. Happy April Fool's Day. Bye bye.